Hello, my name is Jack today, and I'm a recovering alcoholic. I'm here to read the Daily Reflections book for September 23rd, 2025. It's called An Exception. I was an exception. He, Bill W., said to me gently and simply, "Do you think that you are one of us?" That's from Alcoholics Anonymous, page 413, in the third edition. During my drinking life, I was convinced I was an exception. I thought I was beyond petty requirements and had the right to be excused. I never realized that the dark counterbalance of my attitude was the constant feeling that I did not belong. At first, in AA, I identified with others only as an alcoholic. What a wonderful awakening for me it has been to realize that if human beings were doing the best they could, then so was I. All of the pains, confusions, and joys they feel are not exceptional, but part of my life, just as much as anybody's. I tried to read, well, I did. I made a recording of this, and it didn't work. So, back here doing it again. And I didn't like the way it was worded, which it's kind of a constant thing with me in my head. I still judge and criticize, and then I get angry. And if I keep that kind of thing up, one day it's going to lead me back to drinking. So I need to find a way of coping. And Alcoholics Anonymous helps with that. So does psychotherapy for the brain. I do see a psychologist. In addition to going to these meetings. And now remember a few things I said early on in my recovery from alcoholism. If I could just do two things, I thought I'd be okay, and it did work for me. I kept coming to meetings, and I kept not drinking alcohol. I abstained from alcohol, and I kept going to meetings. Those two things. Because at that time, I had a lot of people in my life trying to help me get better, and it's not that their advice and care was conflicting. Well, it was conflicting with the way I had been living, that's for sure. But I mean, they all pretty much said the same thing. So it wasn't a problem with that, and it wasn't a problem with, well, here's a part of the problem with what was happening early on in my recovery was it was too much new stuff. And just that feeling of too much new stuff made me very uncomfortable, like I was thinking drinking would fix it. Just like I don't want to get too far into all that, because so those two things. I just stayed abstinent from alcohol, and I kept going to meetings. But I was still miserable. What did this person say? All of the pains, confusions, and joys they feel are not exceptional, but part of my life as much as anybody's. I'll start with that I realized that everybody else in these rooms that I was visiting for AA meetings very likely felt much similar. They felt a lot like the way I was feeling. I was certain of it. In several cases, they admitted it as much. And so, where this person in today's reading said that they admitted I have to read it again. He didn't. I'm gonna just have to say he didn't understand, because I use he like that's everybody. This writer. I did not belong. At first in AA, I identified with others only as an alcoholic. So did I. And then I just started, like I said, hopefully in this video, that I still do judge and criticize. I need a better way of coping. AA helps me with that. I have a psychologist. But I'm like, okay, these people are alcoholics. I am not. Okay, and so right there I set myself apart from the group and then felt excused to leave. Or maybe I had selective hearing. I only heard what I wanted to hear, and I didn't want to hear a whole lot of what they were telling me. Maybe that was part of the thing where a lot of people were trying to help me and I didn't want to hear it because I still had a very huge problem with who I was as a human. Okay, and so here's the thing where I had this issue with the wording. What a wonderful awakening for me it has been to realize that if human beings were doing, that's exactly what it says. It doesn't say if these human beings, if those human beings. It just says if human beings. So I'm like, okay, human beings are just doing whatever. If human beings were doing the best they could, comma, then so was I, exclamation point. So, you know, I don't think I would have worded it that way. But what this is saying clearly, I think, now to me, is that they're talking about human beings. If you're a human being, you're going to do this, or you might do this. So, you're going to do your best, typically. A human being tries to do the best that they can. And at any given time, their best may not be as good as it was yesterday. It could be a whole number of orders of magnitude better today. When I was drinking, that thing was all over the joint because of like hangovers and still being impaired from alcohol. And then other days where I felt good and I wasn't as drunk as I was before. So my scale of doing the best I could was all over, and then I got sucked into this illusion that, you know, I in the simplest way that I can put it today, the best way I can do it, is that I needed a few drinks to do anything. If I was to do it well, I thought I needed to have the exact right number of drinks, whatever it was. And that's a lie, man. It's a big. Ask Stephen King about that one. Let's see, where am I? I was an exception. So here's part of the thing that maybe I'm trying to get to, is that I was an exception. I totally felt that way until one day I didn't, and I didn't. I don't know if I can point to one single thing. The acceptance that seeing these other people struggling in the same ways that I had struggled, or these other people in the AA meetings relaying to me that they had the same struggles I had. Because in a lot of these cases, some of these people were sober 30 years, 40 years. Some people had been sober 20 years and less. There were people there that were sober. I think when I first came into this one group that I'm still going to, I hope this isn't getting too non-anonymous. There were still newcomers coming to the group and people sticking around. I'll put it that way. So I had, I don't know, maybe 2 months of sobriety because of treatment only. You know, like I wasn't able to do that on my own because I tried that and it didn't work ever. So I had, let's say, 60 days sobriety, and then I think the next closest person to me was It was within a year, a couple months. I had 2 months. They had 6 months, something like that. Okay, and so I felt like I could identify with that person with less sobriety more easily than I could with the people that had like a decade or more, several decades of sobriety. And that wasn't true at all. So, doing the two things I did. I abstained from alcohol. I kept going to the meetings, even though I felt like I didn't belong there for whatever reason. A lot of it was pride, my own wrong self-pride, my inaccurate view of myself. But I just kept coming to the meeting anyways, and I stopped drinking. I just stayed away from alcohol, and I was miserable. That's another thing I'm trying to get to. It took 2 years for me. This may be out of the realm of a lot of people, of their experience of this. They might have just got, I don't know, they might have felt better a lot sooner than I did. I do know this much. I did physically feel better, okay, because that alcohol was physically abusing me bad. And when I quit poisoning myself in that way, I did feel better physically. But, man, did I have baggage upstairs psychologically. My thinking was messed up, and for any number of reasons. And for years I thought maybe, oh, I can't think about that unless I have a couple of drinks. Maybe all that was making it much worse. Well, of course, anyways, that was, I don't know what I'm talking about there. Well, I do, but I can't explain it. It'll just take me all day. It feels. So, my head cleared up enough. It's like I need professional, outside of Alcoholics Anonymous, help for my mental illnesses as it is. And I got that, and it helped immensely. And I still do see a therapist occasionally, a psychotherapist, because in some cases, AA isn't enough. I mean, I'll be the first to admit that. There's some people maybe saying all you need is God and AA. Maybe that's all some people need. I felt like I needed something else. It was available. I took it, and it helped me. So that's what I did. Now, I started to feel like I belonged a little bit somewhere within those 2 years, okay? I was trying to relate to you. It took me about 2 years to feel better, feel accepted maybe. That's not fully accurate. It's, I was in this period of being a dry drunk. Here's another one of these things, sloganish sounding. Alcoholism. When I stopped drinking the alcohol, I just removed the alcohol. I still had the ism. So any of these mental maladies I've been trying to say here, that you could stick an ism on the end of some behavior, I think, and that's what it was. And so now I needed to address that. And what helped immensely was feeling accepted in a group of people with the same issues that had conquered them or were endeavoring to conquer them. So I felt like I belonged in that group of people trying to get better after the ravages of alcoholism, and currently suffering some of the problems of the ism part, the ISMS isms of going through a long period of untreated alcoholism, removing the alcohol, and still having the after effects of a bunch of maybe non-optimal thinking. And now, about the way they word this, what a wonderful awakening for me it has been to realize that if human beings were doing the best they could, then so was I. I felt that happen to me for sure. And all of the pains, confusions, and joys even they feel are not exceptional, but part of my life just as much as anybody. So I had just as much joy, confusion, and pain as anybody else in these AA rooms. And, you know, I could understand that they looked at me with the same kind of thing. See, now in yesterday's reading, it said, here, I'm going to read yesterday's reading here, right here, and then maybe I won't have to make a whole new one. It says, a limitless load for yesterday's reading, September 22. Like a gaunt prospector, belt drawn in over the last ounce of food, our pick struck gold. Joy at our release from a lifetime of frustration knew no bounds. Father feels he has struck something better than gold. For a time he may try to hug the new treasure to himself. He may not see at once that he has barely scratched a limitless load which will pay dividends only if he mines it for the rest of his life and insists on giving away the entire product. That's from Alcoholics Anonymous, pages 128 and 29. Here's a really juicy part, if you will. When I talk with a newcomer to AA, my past looks me straight in the face. I see the pain in those hopeful eyes. I extend my hand, and then the miracle happens. I become healed. My problems vanish as I reach out to this trembling soul. So, what a wonderful awakening for me it has been to realize that if human beings were doing the best they could, then so was I, because I'm a human being, and whether I'm alcoholic or not, but certainly since we're all, well, whatever, all of the pains, confusions, and joys they feel, humans, that I feel, because I'm human. I'm part of that group. I can consider that, you know, I'm a human. I'm in this whole thing of humans. So there are no exceptional parts of that, but part of my life just as much as anybody's, any other human. Now, you know, I mean, like, you got humans over here on this part of the planet and humans over here on this part of the planet, and they've got vastly different cultural understandings and rules and things, or whatever, traditions. Yet, at some level, we're all alike. Okay. Humans like compassion. They like to practice it, and they like to receive it. I know that much. It's a very difficult thing to cultivate, though. And then we just pile on all kinds of other quick fixes. Certainly in America, Americans do that a lot. The quick fix, and I can do it myself. This can-do kind of thing. That I was full of that as an American and an ex-American military service member and an alcoholic. I'm like, I don't need your help. I can handle this on my own. I got this, whatever, blah, blah. And then it all came crashing down, and then I found out, hey, you know what? I'm just human. A lot of humans reach the end of their own strength and need help. And like in a previous, I cried out and asked God for help, even though I didn't believe in God. I needed help. It seemed like what a lot of people were doing, I did it. Because I'm lazy, because I'm human. So I took a shortcut. Jumped over the fence where it was lowest. So, I'm sorry, I'm thinking about something else that loosely connects to this, and I'm running out of time. So, this feeling of being a human, number one, returned to me. Let's go with that. I'll go with that. I got sober. I quit drinking. I stayed abstinent, and I kept going to AA meetings, even though I felt they were effectively useless. Yet I kept going for 2 years. And then this miracle happened where I was healed, because I was able to see my past walking in the door with a newer person than myself. It sounds like some kind of Ponzi scheme. Maybe it is. I don't know. It's keeping me sober 20 years, so, that's a success that I didn't have. I keep going back for more of that anyways. So I felt at least that I belonged in Alcoholics Anonymous, and I looked at all the people in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. There were people still worse off than me. There were people way better than me, and that's what I was shooting for, are the people that seemed to be getting over the same kind of problems that I felt I had. It's like, I'm going to stick with these people like glue and figure out what they're doing that maybe I'm not, or figure out, even though I'm doing them, I'm not getting the same results. So I need to do something differently. Whatever. Look, man, this thing's going to cut me off in 20 seconds. So I'll say thank you for coming by here today, and I'll get back with you later. Goodbye.